Hey, what's up everybody? Look at this right here. Bitcoin's getting a little bit of a pump as we talked about. We want to see a retracement, right? So this wave here, um, there was a couple things that was said. Number one, this could be flagging out for a fourth wave, and then we still need a fifth wave to the downside. Or number two, this wave is finished and now we're making our way into the retracement levels to then either go into reaccumulation, flagging out, breaking out, or getting rejected for another wave down. So A, B, C, and then go. So those are kind of the three ideas at the moment. And it really comes down to how things start, happening here in the retracement levels. Is it possible that this is still a fourth wave? Right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we need 5. Yes, but the bigger it gets, the less likely that is. And I would go as far as to say that this wave is done. It's done. Right? We came down here. We built a base. Usually a fourth wave doesn't do that. Right? It'll just come. I mean, it flags out, but it doesn't build a base, break above the base, and then back test the base, and then continue higher. So, but here's the thing. We don't have a 5-wave move yet. I mean, I guess you can say, let's see here, let's zoom in. But first of all, the 4-hour chart is only a 3-wave leg. I like the shape of it though. It's looking pretty interesting at the moment. Yeah, it doesn't look half bad at all. So initially I thought maybe this is a flat here. You got a 3, you got a 3, and you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got an A, B, C. So this shape right there is an expanded flat, right? But then what happened was we got this 3-wave pullback. So it didn't give me that reversal feeling, right? And then we had this little 1, 2 here. And now look at that. We just popped the high. So what is it doing? Well, I think what's happening here is obviously we're going up into a retracement. But what I'm curious to think here is if this is a 1, 2. If that's a 1, 2, then that's bullish because that's a big wave 1. We got a wave 2 pullback, right? So if I take a little bit of a measured move here, that gets us back to about 64K. I think that's where we're heading this week. So remember, today's Sunday. The weekly close is going to happen today. So that's going to be a big deal. And the higher this price can go, the better, because this all happened last week, guys. All of this dump, this big crash, right? I mean, think about everything that happened last week. The SEC appeal, the XRP ETF, right? I mean, you had Iran stuff. I mean, you had, I think, the vice president debate. I mean, there were so many things that happened last week. It's a little bit overwhelming. But all in all, right, the week ain't even over yet. It's going to be over today. So let's see if we can get a nice weekly close here. Speaking of that, let's look at the weekly candle here. And let's see what she looks like. We're going to look at XRP. We're going to look at THETA. We're going to look at a couple new coins. And we'll see what happens. So right now, the weekly candle looks beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's red, but it's got a nice wick at the tail, right? It's got a nice wick, and that wick did exactly what I thought it was going to do, which is what? Come back down to this area right here, and you can see it better on the daily. But essentially, when we were up here and we were correcting, right? Because we had an ABC, We had a move. We had these dojis up here. It looked like a correction was coming. Basically, I said, look, we're most likely going to come down and we're going to back test this area. And that's exactly what we did. And did I know it was going to bounce off like that? No, we could have actually went even deeper and it would have been totally cool. Now, that doesn't mean we still can't go back down there, you see? So, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But for me, I like to go wave by wave, right? So to me, this is one wave. This is one wave, right? And you can say, well, what about this? There's 3 waves in there. That's true, but it's actually one wave. This is probably going to be an ABC. I'm just going to say it. It's probably going to be an ABC. Now, I'm not certain on that because I want to see what happens in the retracement levels. Remember, you have point A, point B, and these 2 points are easy compared to when the price goes into point C, right? So point A, point B, point C. So because from there it can decide. This is where the pivots happen, right there. So that's going to be very critical about next week because that's going to set the tone for what's about to happen, which is, and we'll talk about that right now. So obviously you guys know what I think is going on here, right? Which is what? Well, we have a beautiful, and let me just show you over here, and I'll just use this as an example, right? So let me just take a bars pattern, and let me just take it right there. There we go. And then we're gonna, try to match it up here. So first of all, there's a big debate out there in the crypto sphere. Was the all-time high, because that's very important when doing time analysis, is knowing where to put the fractal. Is the all-time high here, or is the all-time high here? Obviously, this was a higher high. But if this was a correction that took the high, then it's not necessarily the all-time high. It's not where the actual bear market fractal started, right? So it actually started over here. And another way you can tell is by looking at the MACD, by looking at the altcoins, right? And most of everything finished here, which is good. We want it to finish there. We don't want it to finish here, because if it finished here, that means we have been in this bear market less time. We want as much time to pass, because the further time goes, the more likely it is that it's ready for the next bull run. So, but I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to put the fractal here, right? And you can see, and I'm sure you've seen this on many different videos, but I'm doing it on mine because I want to share where we are right now. And we are basically overdue for this thing to pop to the upside, right? And you can see this is actually the appropriate place to put it, because everything matches up nicely, from the base down here to the breakout to the flagging here, right? And here's what I want to point out. Let me see if I can get this exactly where I want it to be. I mean, I guess that's as good as any. What I want to point out is right here. And why is this important? You're going to know in a second. But essentially, we broke out right there. We broke out. But look what happened to this price. It didn't break out for another month or so, and then it broke out, right? And then we sort of went sideways a little bit, and then look what happened here. The blue fractal broke out first, and then the price broke out later. Why? Because probably it needed more time, because it broke out a little bit too early. You see what I mean? So let's keep that frame. Let's keep that frame of mind going, and let's continue here. So when we broke out here, right? Look what happened. Look at this, guys. The price, the Bitcoin price, broke out way before this price did. You see? So let me just put a line right there, and then right there. So between those lines, that's the big rally that Bitcoin had. But look, the blue fractal didn't rally up until later, right? Okay, so if that's the case, then what do you think's happening right now, right? So they don't always go together. So the blue one broke out first because the previous wave we went first, right? Or the current price broke first. Same thing, guys, same thing over here, right? But the opposite. The current price broke out and the fractal broke out later, which resulted into the fractal breaking out the next time, the next breakout, right? And the price breaking out after that because it broke out too early, so it needed more time to correct. You see what I mean? So when I hear people say, oh, you know, the fractal, it's not breaking out like it should. Well, you know, it doesn't happen right on the day. I mean, sometimes it does. I mean, a lot of times it does. But in this case, right, we had this breakout, and shortly after this happened, which means since we broke out earlier than the fractal did, that means we need more time to correct, just like what happened over here. Now, it wasn't too much of a difference, and you can play with it a little bit. You know, you can, you know, play with it a little bit, and it's relatively going to be the same. So here we are today, and you know, we're overdue. We're overdue. So I think, you know, it's my opinion that I think that this is flagging out and we're going to break out. And yes, it's going to be a difference in time, but you can see here's the blue one, here's the current price, right? And let me show you, and I'm going to show you this as well, just one moment. So you can see the gaps there, you can see the gaps there, and you can see the gaps there. So now we have a new gap here. That's normal. Okay, so now let me use this tool here. I like this tool. I can just back up and erase everything without having to go into the menu department and do it that way. Okay, so now let's play a little game. Let's go over here. Yeah, it's a lot different. It's a lot different, but let's go right about there. Okay, and now let's look at where we're at. Now all I'm gonna do is bring this up right there. So that's where we are according if we were here. So it doesn't matter if you put it here or here, right? It's got some correlation to it now. So now I want you to look at the price broke out, and look what happened. The blue price broke out a lot later. Okay, so now we see the blue price, right? The fractal is, let's see, when's it going to break out? It's going to break out in November 20th. That's when we break out here. So, you know, November, basically the end of November, beginning of December, which means what? Well, we could see some kind of like ascending triangle or some basically consolidation before we break out. And that would make sense. That would make sense. And then you sort of back test and then continue higher, right? So either way, right, if you put it here, we're overdue. If we put it here, we're almost due, right? So there you go. All right, that's all I wanted to say about that. Let's keep moving here, because right now, right, we have a 1, 2, 3, and now we're flagging out for 4. Notice how wave 2 is much more easy, right? It's a simple A, B, C. It's a flat. It's a running flat, right? But this, look at this. This is some wonky stuff there, right? So how do we make sense of what it's doing? Well, we count using Elliott waves. We look at the wave structure and we look at what it's doing internally. So The first obvious thing is it's a bull flag, right? It's a bull flag. And bull flags break to the upside, right? And what would be the measured move of that bull flag? Well, if you take it sort of down here, up to there, and I'm just giving you a ballpark, it's not going to be exact, and I'm not even on the exact thing, but you're going to get about 100K, you know, around that 100, 125K area. Now, do I think it's going to go that high? Hey, I'll be happy if it can get to 84K, right? The low end for me, the Bitcoin target that I have, the low end is 84K. That's the minimum. The high end, the very, very top end would be 120. So anywhere between that. I know it's a big area, but again, you're not going to get an accurate target unless you have wave structure to go by, right? So, you know, you can use Fibonacci levels and all that, but until I have an actual trend, right, I will use a trend-based extension. So for example, if this is wave 1 and then I pull it down into wave 2, right, if that is wave 2, I would target the 1618, that's 82K. But let's say we had a big breakout here and then I did it again, well then I would have a new updated target for that other wave, because the fifth wave, what do we need? Well, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's over. It's done. That's it. And then we hopefully we get a big alt season after that, right? So the obvious way to count this, just recap real quick, would be we have 3 down, we have 1, 2, 3 up, right? And then we have 5 down, which is an A, B, C. And now this is a 1 with an expanded flat for a 2, and then here's another 1, and then here's another 2, and we're about to rip. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, something like that. So that's the obvious count, right? The second one would be similar, very similar. We have 3 down, we have 3 up, but instead of an ABC, it would be a WXY. So would be 1, 2, 3, right? So we would have 5 down, we would have 1, 2, 3 up, and now we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So that's the scary, very risky, very real life potential that could totally happen, right? So not financial advice, but that's the reality. Why do I say that? Because markets move in 3s and 5s, right? And if this is an impulse to the downside. So let's talk bearishly for a second. If this is an impulse to the downside, and then we have a 1, 2, 3-way pullback, well, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to get a big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move down. And that will be an ABC, A, B, C, right? So now we have 3 down, we have 1, 2, 3 up, which means we need 3 down. And then we take out all of this liquidity. Everybody gets super bearish. The bear market is here. Let's go. Bear, 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 bear market. That's what you're going to hear. It's a bear market, but what is happening? It's a liquidity grab before the monster move up. And that, my friends, is my main bearish idea. That's the main bearish idea. Now, how do we know which ones are going to be? Well, it's all going to really happen this week and next week based off of what happens in these retracement levels, right? So we can give it a little bit of wiggle room here, but once we start getting back down to below 58K, or really 57, 57, 58, we start breaking below that, then the chances significantly increase. So those are the 2 ideas right there. The other idea is, it's the same thing, right? You have an A, B, C, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? We talked about that already. But essentially, those are the two ideas, bullish and bearish. Now, there is another bearish idea, in which case we go down exactly like I said right there. We take out this liquidity. But here's the thing, right? It's going to seem very bullish. It's going to seem bullish. I'm like, okay, we got 3 down, we got 3 up, and we got 3 down. Let's go. We're going to the moon. So then we start going back up, and then we get rejected here. Oh no, we get rejected. And if we don't have a long bull flag to break us out, instead we have like, you know, a continuation, and we break that low. As soon as that happens, done. We're going into reaccumulation. That's it. There's no fourth wave anymore. Okay, so what that means, reaccumulation, is exactly what happened over here. It just hasn't happened yet, right? So I would compare this right here, and you can say, well, that's what we're doing now. We're reaccumulating, but we're doing so at the top versus down where normal reaccumulation should be, right? But here's what it has going for it. See, this wave, a lot of people like to compare this wave, but I don't like to so much, because when you look at this wave, we went straight up, okay? But look at this wave. We had a nice gradual move, but look what we did. We created a base right here. And we also had a base down here, right? So we had a lot of accumulation going on. This one, we just had this little tiny thing down here, and then we went straight up. So we have more built-in layers, right? It's kind of like, you know, I don't know, layering a cake. How many layers you got, right? The more layers you got, the more unbelievable and more expensive the cake's going to be. You know, so we have, right now we have 3 layers. We have 3 bases here. So my thing is, if we go down into reaccumulation, what is that going to look like? Well, you see this gap between, let me just show you right here. This is the little issue right there. There's really nothing there, okay, between 31 and 52K. So that 40K, that 40, or I should say that really that 31 to 47K area is basically kind of like shallow water, like very shallow water, not a lot of support. So if we did have to go back down into reaccumulation, all we would do is take a box from here and put it right there. Now let's change the color. There we go. And that would be our box right there. That would be our reaccumulation box. And that would be similar to what happened here. But the thing is, we've already spent so much time up here, right? And we didn't really spend a lot of time here. So, and this was kind of flagging out, and that's flagging out. So I'm a little bit kind of conflicted, because if we did have to come down into reaccumulation, my assessment is that it wouldn't take that long. Obviously, we have the election coming up. I think if we did have to go down into reaccumulation between now and to when Trump actually takes office, we could have a little bit of uncertainty here until people understand what's going on. So let's say we come down and we're playing around in here. Maybe we backtest 31K, or I just can't see it going down that deep unless there's some event attached to it, like a liquidity event, but never say never, right? But essentially we would get down in here and we would play around a little bit, and from there we would continue to break out. So this could be like a 1-2, and then we have another 1-2, and that would set us up for an extremely bullish wave, because we would still have a third and a fifth wave to go, right? So if we had to come down into reaccumulation, all that would do is make the bull run much bigger. See, it's the opposite of what people think. They think, well, if we break out, it's going to be more bullish. Actually, no. If we go down, it's actually going to be more bullish later on, right? Because if we break out, let's say we get to 100K, okay? But if we come down and we go into reaccumulation, then we can get up to like 160, 170, 180. You see what I mean? You see the difference? Why is that the case? Because all of this from the bottom here, we've been going up since November of 2022. So November 2023, November 2024. That's 2 years. We've been going up, 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 right? So all of that momentum is slowing down, right? Because it's all about momentum. And now we can see this move right here. That's sort of slowing down, resetting the oscillators. But if we had to break down and actually go into accumulation down in here, that's going to totally reset the momentum. It's going to totally change the structure of the wave, and it's going to actually build a platform here, because you can see where this thing really is. And I'm going to change it to like a brighter color. Let's try that color. Here we go. And I'll stretch it along here. You could see that this is there's a lot of price action over here. And when we broke through it, we kind of just sliced right through it like it wasn't even there. So coming back down and retesting some of these lower end points, like this area down here, wouldn't be such a crazy idea, even though that's all the way down at 31K, 34K. Right? That would be catastrophic, right? But at the end of the day, it wouldn't be. So it's all about how we interpret it. So that it's really going to come down to those two things, right? And you can say, well, what if we break below that? Well, I'm not going to even go there, because if we break below that, then we're just going to reaccumulate down here, right? So we can either reaccumulate up here, reaccumulate in the middle, or reaccumulate way down there, right? Which I really highly doubt that's going to happen. So anyways, and what I'm saying here is, right here, we have a rise, crash, retrace, you go down into reaccumulation, you go sideways, you break out. You have a rise, crash, retrace that took the high, you go down into reaccumulation, you go sideways, and then you break out. So that could be exactly what we see. And if that's the case, what happens to the altcoins? Dun, dun, dun. Right? That's why I can't really grasp it right now, because I don't see that much downside for the altcoins. But we'll jump in the altcoins in a moment. Now let's look at the smaller time frames here. If we go to the 30-minute chart, right? And all I'm going to do is take a simple Fibbo, put it down here, and we're not even at the 50 yet. So we still got a lot of work, right? Now let's see how this plays out, right? If we go up rather quickly, like let's say we go up like that, it could mean, we have a long sort of something like that. Or if we get sort of rejected, because look where we're at right now, we're actually right at the bottom of this. So there's a lot of support there, right? So now we're basically getting, that's all resistance, right? So if we have to, let me take all this off real quick. If we have to come down and flag out, that wouldn't be so bad, right? Maybe kind of like a Wyckoff, or I wouldn't even say that. Basically kind of like building a base down in here a little bit more. So kind of the top of the range, the bottom, back to the top, back to the halfway point, and then start breaking back to the upside. You have a better chance. Why? Because you cool off the momentum, right? You reset it, versus if you're just going up, 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 up. So let's see what happens when we get up here, 63, 64. That's if we get up there. I'm not saying that we have to, but that's if. Now, if this is a fourth wave, which it could still be, 1, 2, 3, and then we have 1, 2, 3 for the fourth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And now we're going. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get divergence between the third and the fifth, and then you start your ascent back up. But I would actually look at it more like an ABC, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that's an A, and then you have one A, B, and then you have like, a 5-wave leg, which to me it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe we get 5 like that. So basically an ABC, and then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So that would be our ABC, and when we zoom out and look at that, it wouldn't be so bad, right? Because if I take a trend line here and I go up, excluding that wick, I can totally see something like that happening, where we have a 1, and then we have this flat here for a 2, and then we have sort of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 1, and then we have an A, B, C for a 2. Okay, and that would be incredibly bullish. That would be monstrally bullish, and then we would really rip it to the upside, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking here if we do come down in an ABC, because if we do come down, it's going to have that that 3-wave shape that we want. This is the best shape. It's like the 3-wave shape. That's what you want to see, and you want to get the bottom of that, right? So anyways, not financial advice. I could be wrong. It can go to $1 million. It can go to $2. It can go to 7 cents. It can go to $7 million. But I try to stay in the realm of reality. And we've been pretty spot on with this retracement. Now this correction has been a little bit challenging. We've had to readjust a lot of things, because when the price action is maturing, things change, right? So you can get, for example, let's say we're right here, right at the top of this wave. There was no way anyone on this planet could have possibly known it was going to take that type of shape. But the way you know that is by doing it day by day. So you get a little bit more information, a little bit more information, a little bit more information, and then you start to piece things together, right? So right there, you say, okay, that looks like kind of like a 3-wave pullback. Let's see if we get a bounce to the upside. Oh, look at that, we got a bounce to the upside. But then we got rejected. Now we're coming down. What's it doing now? Oh, it looks like a bigger 3-wave move. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so it looks like, hey, that could be the end, right? Because we have a finished 3-wave move. Let's go. And then we go up, but look, we got rejected by the retracement levels, right? And then we came down. Okay, so we readjust, right? So it's all about readjusting. You don't have to know what the price is going to do weeks from now, months from now. All you got to know is what the next move is going to be. That way we can add that to our puzzle piece of this whole thing, right? So, and now we have all of this wave structure. Now we have a lot more information about this correction, which gives us more ammunition on how to go about, doing what we're going to do with it, right? So, but anyway, those are the ideas. Again, we're going into a retracement. It could be a 4th wave, it could be a B wave, or it could be a reversal. Let's talk about that for a moment. So this could be a reversal where you have sort of like a 1, 2, and I don't like the 2 because it's so small, but if it's a 1, 2, and it gets up here in like a 3, and then we kind of flag out for a 4, we can get a big 5th wave, kind of like a cup and a handle here, something like that, right? that breaks us out, because it's all about what? This sort of downward resistance line. This is the big line right here, is that downward resistance line. Once that line is broken, there's going to be a lot of liquidity rushing in to play here. So if I draw a little bit of a trend against the supply line, you come up with an apex, and that apex is November 20th. And gee, wouldn't you know, where's that fractal at? Remember that fractal? That blue fractal actually broke us out around that November 20th mark. So maybe that will be an interesting date. People say October. Now, if everybody's tweeting October, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So it's all about, it's basically the opposite of what people think it's going to be. Like September was supposed to be a down month, but we went up. October is supposed to be an up month, but we're going down. Now, the month just started, guys. Just started. And I want to show you this chart right here. Look at this. By the way, real quick, I'm going through my screenshots and I look at this. Does anybody know NEIRO? Anything about this meme coin? I was looking at it yesterday and I'm like, you know what? It kind of looks bullish. I'm gonna put a trade in, and man, I knocked it out of the park. That was a beautiful trade. It was up like 29%, 29%. So at a 9x leverage, that's about almost 250%. So anybody know about NEIRO? I mean, because I'm trying to position myself some of the new coins too, because a lot of times, you know, new money is chasing new coins, right? And like the next big Solana or the next big whatever. I know Sui could be a Solana challenger, but I'm kind of looking for maybe a little bit smaller of a market cap. But anyway. Look at this chart right here. I think I shared it before, but look, this is the 5th of July. Right here, that was the bottom. We went up. And look at this. This is the 5th of August. That was the bottom. We went up. And look at this. This is the 6th of September. And then look what happened. We went up. And now we're back down here. And guess what the time it is? It is, what is it? The 5th of October, the 6th of October. Right? So we're at the 6th of October. So we pulled back. Is this the end? Is this the bottom here? And now we're going to revert. So it would actually be, here we go. Here's all the dates right down here. So we actually have, again, the July 5th, the bottom, August 5th, bottom, right? And it's always the beginning of the next month. A lot of times, because that monthly candle closes and you can see the wicks like I've shown before, right? We have the 6th of September, and now we have sort of the 3rd of October. So it's in the right vicinity of where it should be, right? So I'm not saying, right, that's, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean anything, but I thought it was interesting. Now, if you look at the monthly chart, right, you could see, look at all the wicks on the bottom, right? So you have these wicks on the bottom, wicks on the bottom. The wicks, so one of the ways you can figure out, is it going to break to the upside or to the downside? What side has the bigger wicks? Are there bigger wicks on the top, or are there bigger wicks on the bottom? And we can clearly see there are bigger wicks on the bottom, which means what? Which means that's more bullish, right? The buyers are stepping up. Now, if I flip it upside down, now that kind of looks bearish because it looks like we're getting rejected here. So, anyways, but you can see, right? Like, for example, the month closed here, right? We opened up and then we came all the way down, right? The month closed there, then the month opened here, and then we had to go all the way down and retest. Same thing here. The month closed here, and then the month opened here, and now look, we're coming down. So we could still, as long as we stay, you can see the wicks, boom, 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 right? As long as we stay within these wicks, right, we could actually, you know, wick down here this month, and that could be all month, right? And then the following candle, that's when we break out, something like that. That's just a way to a good way to think about the wicks, right? Not saying that's what's going to happen, but by the way, this monthly candle is starting to look pretty bullish. Obviously, it just started. So let's look at the 2-week chart here. So we also have a 2-week candle about to end in 4 hours. Now the 2-week chart, it looks ugly. I have to be honest. I don't like the 2-week candle. It's a doji candle, and not only is it a doji, but it's a doji at the top of the candles, which is bearish. So hopefully, that looks better soon. But the weekly chart does still look good. So let's look at some altcoins here. Yeah, the weekly chart does look a lot better. So let's look at some altcoins, and we're gonna start with XRP versus Bitcoin. You can see we got a big dump to the downside, but when you look at it with more details, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 3 down, we have 3 up, and we have 1, 2, 3 down. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So A, B, C. So 1, 2, right? I'm looking for somewhere in this area for us to reverse, right in here, right? So that's bullish for XRP. Let's look at the 4-hour. Yeah, I'm still looking at the flat idea, right? So we have an impulse, we have 3 down, that's an A, right? We have 1, 2, 3 up, that's a B, right there. And now we want to see a C leg, right? Which is 5 waves down. Now I don't have 5 waves down, that's the problem. I got 1, 2, 3. Maybe this comes up like this for a 4, and then we come down for 5. And then when you have the bullish divergence on that, you can see all of the bullish divergence right there. So, obviously we want to see the RSI pop up a little bit more, then come down and get that bullish divergence. That would be my indicator of, yeah, probably the lows in. So that's probably it for XRP. Not really much here at the moment. We had a big gnarly drop, and now we're sort of just kind of consolidating. Now if we can consolidate long enough and sort of build an accumulation range down here, right, then it could look pretty interesting. Let's see this trend line here. We got a little bit of a trend here. Watch that trend, see if it breaks. It looks like it wants to break to the downside. It already is breaking down. Look at but what's the count though? What's the count? Okay, so the count would be, looks like we have 3 up, okay, and it looks like we have 3 down, and maybe we have 1, 2, 3 up, right? And it looks like a really crappy looking WXY, and now we're about to go down for that 5th wave. That's one idea. Another idea could be this is 3 up, and this is 1, 2, 3 down. So 1, 2, 3 down, and then we have 5 up later on. So 3 up, 3 down, and then we have 5 up later. That's probably more likely, I think, because it's more in line of the shape, right? It's in the same degree. So but anyway, that's about it here. It seems like we built a little bit of a base here, and we broke out of that base. And when you look at the 5-minute, which you shouldn't do, but just for fun, we broke out. We kind of got a little bit of ABC going here. So if we can hold some support in here, right, I want to see more upside. That's one way to look at it. All right, well, let's look at theta, and then I want to get to the new coins here. So theta is charging back into the retracement levels, and that's exactly what we thought with theta, because, right, we hit this trend line, number one. Number two, we came back all the way back down to our back test zone. That's number two. I mean, this was the perfect area to buy the dip. And now, or dollar cost averaging, right? Not financial advice, but actually when you look at it now, it was a good spot. So we only have a 3-wave move, right? We got 1, 2, 3. So we got to be cautious here. We're getting right back to the resistance, right? So what do we want to see? We probably want to see it come down. We want to see it flag out in here, right? If we can flag out, hit the high, maybe flag out again, like build a little base here, and then we can break out, or at least get into the retracement levels before deciding up or down, right? Because it's exactly like Bitcoin, right? In the fact that, is this going to be an A, B, C? Is this going to be a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout? Is this going to be sort of like a 1, 2, 1, 2, and now we're getting ready to rip and roar? But anyway, it's all about retracements, so that's what we got to wait for. I would actually much prefer it to not break out right away. I'd actually prefer it to go sideways a little bit and then break out later, give it a better structure. But all in all, for the price of theta, when we zoom all the way out, it's bullish. I mean, you know, it's bullish. It hasn't felt like it's been bullish, right? But it is. The reason why is because we are holding support. We're building a base on top of the base. That's always very bullish, right? We have a completed crashing structure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have wave 6 back into wave 4 of this wave here. Then we go down into 7. That's a completed crashing structure. And then when you look at it from this perspective, basically we've been going sideways, oscillating in the range, back testing this Wyckoff range in here. So looks pretty good. And what am I expecting? And it's just like what we said before. We got point A, we got point B. What comes next? You got it, point C, which means what? We're looking for a retracement, which means what? It's not going to happen today or tomorrow. It's not going to happen immediately. Now, it's funny because sometimes an analyst will say, yeah, I feel like, you know, this is what's going to happen. And then it takes like a couple of weeks and they go, oh, you were wrong. Well, no, it just hasn't played out yet. It takes time. You know, timing is always the most challenging thing when it comes to charts, right? Because you can get an idea, but you just don't know for sure. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting theta to go up into a retracement. Now, does that mean we have to come down first, back down to the bottom of this range? I mean, it could be, right? But all in all, right, when we look right here, my analysis is we hold that line, hold right in here around that $1.05 area, right? Now wicks don't count. If we wick through it, that's fine, but definitely not breaking that low. And then, you know, if we have to play around in here, because remember, we still have Wyckoff. This could be some kind of Wyckoff pattern, right? Where we kind of go up and then we sort of drag out a little bit like this, kind of curl up in here, play around at the backtest level, like a little bit of a triangle, and then break out. That's typical. That's exactly what I'm thinking is happening here. I think this is going to be an ABC. I don't think it's going to break out right away. because it just doesn't seem like it's enough time, right? Because it would be too small of a base. You kind of need that little playing around, right? So my best theta advice or theta outlook would be retrace ABC, we break out, we play around, and then we get to the retracement levels, and then from there we'll reevaluate the situation. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Now we could come up to this $1.90 area and then come back down and back test and flag out in here, right? But either way, that's kind of the general idea of what I'm looking at for the price of theta. So hopefully that helps. Very bullish. We just gotta wait. Matic. No, I don't care about Matic. Total 3. Not because I don't care about Matic, it just doesn't look interesting. It's just, you know. Total 3, we sort of had these deviations, right? Where we sort of deviate out of it here, deviating out of it here. So same thing with total 3, come down a little bit more, or have a retracement, have this C leg here, sort of like an ABC, kind of drawn out a little bit, and then let me extend this out here. There we go. And then what I can see is we could tag this area, but probably start billowing up into the downward resistance line, kind of like a little bit of a U shape, play it around, and then that's when we break out. Something like that, right? Kind of like the Nike swoosh, you know. And you can see the apex coming right around here, around that November 20th area. So that's how I'm looking at it. If we break it, then I want to see a quick reversal. If we come up and we get rejected, then I'm thinking, okay, reaccumulation. So it's all going to happen between now and the end of the year. So get ready. I wanted to show you guys THETA. Okay, this is the ones that I'm really considering placing a bet here, and I've already did a little bit. But the reason why is because I saw a fractal that BCB shared, and I kind of want to step away from the coins that I've been looking at a lot, and I want to get into these newer ones. You can see this one just came out. It's only been out a year, right? So it's and we had a monster wave one. I mean, this thing was at $2, and we went all the way up to $20, right? So you know, it's not so big of a move, about 850%, but that just tells me it probably has a lot still left to go. And one of the things I like about it is obviously we have a 1-2, we have this flat here, and then we have another flat potentially. But look at this. So here's a fractal here, and we're comparing it to Sia coin. And essentially, right, you can kind of see the same kind of thing going on, right? You got the top, right? You have that first move down, you flag out. First move down, you flag out. Hit the low, come back down. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. We're seeing something very similar. I just don't really like how this actually hit once and then twice. So it kind of did it 2 times. Had a nice impulse, a pullback. So we probably play around a little bit in here and then start gradually going back up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here for TIA. Also, Wyckoff accumulation, right? This could be a Wyckoff pattern right here. It's got that shape to it, right? And then build that base. So it's looking pretty interesting. So NEIRO, this is like a meme coin. And you know what? I don't buy coins like this. I mean, look, I just went straight up. Like, there's no entry for me. There's nothing there. But I I had a little funny feeling, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just play with it a little bit. I didn't put in serious money. I put in a few bucks, nothing big, just a small amount. The reason why is very simple. Because we had this beautiful three-wave move. Boom, boom, and then we had 1, 2, 3, and then we had 1, 2, 3, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, perfect. And then we had this big impulse that took the high, and then what did I do? I bought the pullback, and then look what happened. Boom. So that was a beautiful trade. And look at it, it's still going. Look at it. I haven't sold it yet because my entry is so little. I mean, it's so far down there. So, I don't even care if it comes back down and back test, that area there. Like, hey, whatever. I didn't put in a lot. So, maybe we flag out and we go higher, right? And this is a meme coin. Here's a little bit of I said bug. And it still knew what I was talking about. You could just pause the video and read that. But it was inspired by Shiba Inu. I think the dog died, and I think it was like a real life version of the dog or something. I don't know. I'm not into that stuff. But it says first is it NEIRO or NEIRO or I don't know. On Ethereum, it's kind of a big deal among crypto enthusiasts. Folks trust it thanks to its grassroots model and buzzy community vibes. Okay, whatever you say. I thought I saw something else about it, but it says it's not just another meme coin. It stands for a decentralized and community. Yeah, whatever. Backing from Vitalik, support from Binance, rapidly growing community, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. I don't know, right? I don't know anything about meme coins, but here's what I do know. If we get a Bitcoin fifth wave, if we have a theta retracement, if we get an XRP breakout, these are big ifs, but either way, if we go down into reaccumulation, we break out at a later time, I feel like a lot of these meme coins are going to hit it out of the park, especially the ones that are kind of new and kind of like, because it's all about what's the next new best thing. Like some of these old coins have been trading for a long time. A lot of people lose interest in it, right? The developers aren't developing. Their social media is kind of inactive. So it's all about like, what are people looking at? What's the next new big shiny object? And you shouldn't do that based off investing. You invest for the long term. But as far as a trade goes, meme coins could be a pretty good play, especially capitalizing on some momentum. It says it's based on the Shiba Inu Dogecoin meme coin. It's built on the Ethereum blockchain. Has a total supply of 1 billion tokens. That's not a lot of tokens. That's not a lot. I think SHIB. What is SHIB total supply? I mean, come on, 1 quadrillion, like that's just insanity. And as far as Dogecoin, it's 146 billion, right? I know XRP's 100 billion, but look, that other coin, NEIRO, it's only $1 billion, right? And it's brand new, and it hasn't really had that, big sort of on the map like SHIB did. And I'm just wondering, maybe, not financial advice, you should never do what I do, but maybe when we have that big bull run, or when Bitcoin breaks out into that fifth wave and you have these meme coins going crazy, you're going to see a lot of smaller cap coins have these massive returns. It could be a 10x, 20x. Now here's the problem. It's already went up so much. I mean, it's went up a lot. I mean, this thing just pumped basically way down here, and it's already went up. What was that? Like 4,000% in a matter of a week. So, that's risky, right? And that's why it's all about trading. 4,000% in 1 week, right? It just came out. It's brand new. So maybe this thing can get going like Pepe did, or Sheeb. I actually got a notification from my exchange that it was listed, and I ignored it because I always ignore new listings. I don't know what it's gonna do, but man, if I would have got this guy, I would have been amazing. But here's why I bought it. Again, I was looking at it. We had 3 down, we had 3 up, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and we had an impulse and a back test right back into that range. So I said, you know what? I'll take a stab at it, right? So that I did, and now we're right back at resistance. Now, could this be a 1-2, 1-2? It's very hard to say what's going on here, but we did break out. We broke out here. So I'm just gonna hold it, and I'm gonna see what it does. Now this thing can totally just dump. It could totally just collapse on itself very easily. And what would that be? In which case it would just trigger my stop loss. But what would that be? Well, if this is 3 down, right, and then we have 3 up, what do you think comes next? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, or 3 down, right? 3, 3, 3. So it could be a much bigger correction, something like that, right? And then you break out later on, or after it takes out the liquidity. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be very careful. But once in a while I'll do these fun things. But anyway, if you can hit that like button, I went over an hour. I wasn't supposed to, because it screws up the algorithms. But anyway, if you can, it'd be amazing. I was looking at flow. I don't know why, but let me see. I don't know anything about flow. Man, what's going on here? It's kind of an older one. Not too old. Maybe a couple years. But, I mean, we were up at $25, $50. Now, I don't know. Now, that's another thing. Tokenomics, inflation, right? There's a lot of things people don't realize when it comes to investing. Like, they'll invest, and it goes up, it does well, and then it comes back down. And then it takes so long for it to recover, a lot of times because of the inflation. Has something to do with it, too. So, anyways, I was looking at this, building a little bit of a base here. We had a 5 waves down, and I was looking for it to come back to the retracement levels. Nothing special, but basically something like that. But if this thing got back, up here, that's about 1100% back to the bottom of its sort of breakdown area. So I thought that was interesting. Another new one is called Axelar. I heard it on the Paul Barron network. He's bullish on it. It's very new, right? We've only had 1 wave to the upside. It looks decent. It wasn't out of this world crazy with gains already. Like, we've only had a 700, 800% move. So there still could be a lot of gas in the tank for this one. By the way, what is the market cap? Does it tell me? Okay, so the market cap, look at that. It's not even $1 billion. It's only $520 million market cap. Very low. The circulating supply, look at that, is 800 million. And there's only a total supply of 1 billion. So it's pretty decent. The volume could be a little bit more, but essentially Axelar, I think that is what you say. I mean, that's the whole chart right there. So, we had an impulse, and we had a completed, I'm basically looking at this as a wave 1, a wave 2, and let's go for a monster wave 3, and then wave 4, wave 5. So what would be the target for that? Well, if I do a trend-based fib extension from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 1, and then I pull it all the way down to the bottom of wave 2, I'm looking for a full 4.236 extension. That comes in at $10. And where are we at right now? We're at 65 cents. That basically, that's like XRP, right? XRP's 50 cents, and we're looking at that $10 target. But maybe Axelar can do it a lot easier with little resistance. It's definitely risky, right? Anything's risky in these smaller cap coins, because you're just not really sure what's going on behind the scenes with them completely. Yeah, I like it. Those are the coins I'm looking at. So definitely do your own research. We broke above the downward resistance line. And let's look a little bit closer here. And these are coins all contingent on Bitcoin getting that fifth wave. If it doesn't, then, we got more to deal with. But essentially, it kind of looks like we have an A, we have a B. It kind of looks like it needs to come down for a C, kind of play around a little bit, and then go, like, build that Wyckoff zone here. And you have that M shape with a little U shape at the bottom, and then go. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for most of these coins, is for it to sort of correct down. So we could have a bearish upcoming week. It's kind of difficult to say right now, but when I look at Axelar on the 1 hour, I mean, you could technically say that's a diagonal, right? In which case we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe this is A, that's B, and then we get C. And this is a 1, 2 of the third wave. But it's just too early to tell, right? Most of the time, you sort of just get a bigger ABC, come down and retest this area, and then go later. So, anyways, one last thing on XRP, I don't even think I talked about it, is the flat. I don't even remember if I talked about it. Yeah, I did. So basically a flat. So we have an A, B, C. That's what we're looking for XRP, A, B, C. Now, could it be finished? I mean, I guess it could be, right? It could be finished. We're right at support here. So, but I don't really have 5 waves. It's kind of shallow. It could be a running flat, A, B, C, right? But we're just going to need more info. We're going to need more sort of price action to really make that flip. Let's see here. Fetch. This is another one that could be very bullish. We got a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks like an A. We're probably going to go for a B. And then maybe we get a C later on. Maybe we start flagging out in here before we break out. So we definitely have more downside. If that's the case, right, then October is going to be a bearish month. At least until it resets itself. But if we get that structure, it's definitely going to be bullish. ICP is another one that I'm looking at too. That's going to do well, I imagine. A little bit more challenging of a wave structure. It looks like an A, it looks like a B, and it looks like we're getting maybe a C wave, like a 3-wave move down, challenging these lows. But I could be wrong. This could be a 1, 2, 1, 2 as well. So it's just all about the retracements. Solana, it looks like you have a shoulder, you have a head. It looks like it's kind of shaping up to be a shoulder here, so that could be a breakout for Solana. I mean, at least getting us ballpark above that swing high there. That's one thing we can look at. CRV is another one, but it just doesn't look finished. It looks like we have a beautiful wave 1, an A, B, and a C, but it kind of looks like it needs to go down a little bit more. It just looks like it needs to go down a little bit more and finish. And then that would be like, man, that's a bullish move there. That's a beautiful 3-wave move. And that would look just like, for example, Fetch. And you know what I'm going to show you, which is this move right here. You see that? That's kind of what I'm looking for CRV. that 3-wave shape. And after that 3-wave shape, look what happened. Bam. See that? And we have another 3-wave shape right there. So, anyways, that'll do it for this video. It's going to be one hell of a week. I mean, every week between now and January is going to be insanity because of the election. We got deep state chaos. So, Theta Fuel, same thing with Theta, right? Theta Fuel, I haven't forgot about you. I know I haven't been looking at you a lot, but trust me, I think about you all the time. No, but seriously, it's the same thing as Theta. So, you know, either we're going to get an ABC, or it's going to be going to reaccumulation, or we're just going to break out. But again, we have to wait until we get to the retracement levels, because it's just, you know, I got to see the wave structure. I got to see what it's doing. I got to see the way it went up, you know, and then we, you know, play it by that. Because it could be Wyckoff, where you have the M shape. Go. So, anyways, is that it? Is that it? Is that it for real this time? Yes. I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.